There is a specific kind of pain that doesn't come from loss or failure. It comes from silence, from praying and hearing nothing back, from opening your Bible and feeling like the words are just words, from going through something so heavy that you start to wonder if God even knows your name anymore. That silence is one of the hardest things a person of faith will ever face. And yet, the silence of God is not the absence of God. Let me say that again, slowly, because someone watching this needs to hear it more than once. The silence of God is not the absence of God. Joseph knew this. He spent 13 years, in a pit, then a slave's chain, then a prison cell. He wasn't rescued quickly. He wasn't given a sign every morning. He prayed in the dark, and the dark stayed dark. And through all of it, Genesis 39:23 makes a quiet, extraordinary statement. The Lord was with him, not was visible to him, not was loudly speaking to him, was with him, in silence, in suffering, working in ways Joseph could not see from where he was standing. You are not outside the story just because you can't see the next chapter. Sometimes God is most precisely at work when he is most completely quiet. Think about the 3 days between the crucifixion and the resurrection. To every disciple alive in that moment, it looked like the end. It looked like failure. The tomb was sealed. The silence was total. And God was doing the most important thing he had ever done in human history. Don't mistake the sealed tomb for the final word. Psalm 46:10 doesn't say, "Be frantic and know that I am God." It says, "Be still and know that I am God." Stillness is where knowing happens. Not in the noise, not when everything is going right, and prayers are answered immediately, and life feels manageable. The deep knowing, the knowing that actually holds when everything falls apart, that grows in the quiet. Mother Teresa once shared, after her death, that she had experienced almost 50 years of interior spiritual darkness, 50 years of praying without a felt sense of God's presence. She called it her dark night of the soul. And yet she spent those same 50 years feeding the dying in Calcutta. She did not let the silence make her doubt the calling. She let the calling outlast the silence. That is faith, not the feeling of God, the choosing of God when the feeling is gone. Hebrews 11:1 defines faith as the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Notice what that definition doesn't include. It doesn't include certainty. It doesn't include answered prayer. It doesn't include the feeling of warmth during worship. Faith, by its very definition, operates in the absence of visible confirmation, which means every moment you keep believing through silence is not a moment of weak faith. It is faith working exactly as God designed it. Romans 8:28 doesn't say, "All things feel good." It says, "All things work together for good to those who love God." The working is happening even when the feeling isn't there. The weaving is happening even when you can only see the back of the tapestry, all knots and loose threads, and no pattern at all. You are not looking at the front of the tapestry right now. If you are in a season of silence, I'm not going to tell you, "It's easy." I've sat in that silence. I've prayed and felt the ceiling. I've opened my Bible on nights where I needed a word and found nothing that reached through. I know what it costs to keep going anyway. But this is what I know to be true. Not because someone told me, but because I lived through it. The silence was not abandonment. It was formation. God was not absent. He was working at a depth that didn't require my observation or my approval. He was doing something in me that could only be done in the quiet, the way a seed can only germinate in the dark and the pressure of soil above it. Isaiah 40:31 says that those who wait on the Lord will renew their strength. Not those who figure it out, not those who force a breakthrough, those who wait. Waiting is an act of radical, defiant trust. Keep waiting, keep praying, keep showing up with your Bible, even when the words feel flat. The silence is not the end of the story. It is often the middle of the most important one. God has not forgotten your name. He is simply working at a depth that requires your stillness, not your panic. Be still. He is God. If this message found you at the right time, that's not an accident. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.